This is the sixth edition coming to you live from our Abuja studios of the News Central TV. I am Neota Igbe. Our top stories at this hour. U.S. Embassy in Nigeria cancels visa appointment over protest fears. More than 80 killed as U.S. claims attack on Iranian warship in Indian Ocean. 4 children killed in Djibouti deadly explosion. Rights group links blast to drone strike. Bring you details in a moment. The United States Embassy in Nigeria has cancelled all visa appointments scheduled for Wednesday, March the 4th, citing a high risk of protests amid escalating tensions between the United States and Iran. In a statement, the embassy warned American citizens to remain indoors, avoid large gatherings, and monitor local media for updates. The warning follows reports of the death of Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in U.S. and Israeli airstrikes, with Tehran retaliating by targeting U.S. bases in Gulf countries. Earlier, protests in Yobe State by Shiite groups show solidarity with Iran, raising concerns of similar demonstrations in Abuja. The embassy stressed vigilance and urged citizens to follow safety protocols. Meanwhile, the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission says the federal government is monitoring the security situation in the Middle East and will protect Nigerians in affected countries. The commission spokesman Abdul Rahman Balogun said authorities are coordinating with the relevant agencies on possible evacuation plans. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs advised citizens in Iran, Qatar, and the UAE to remain vigilant and avoid sensitive locations. Officials said emergency contacts remain available. The crisis follows weekend strikes by the United States and Israel on Iran and retaliatory attacks across the Gulf states. Drones later struck the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, prompting tighter security. And real quick, to give us an update on the situation on ground, we have an Israeli journalist, Rolene Marks, joining us from Modi'in. Rolene, thank you for joining us.
Some of the intersections as they are happening above us. This is central Israel being targeted by ballistic missiles coming in from Iran. Now, I'm in my safe room. I hope the signal is very clear because it does tend to disrupt it. But once again, thank you for having me, and you are getting me live under fire.
Okay, I was going to mention that we understand the situation right now, that there might be warning signs coming in as well. But just tell us, what's the situation on ground in Israel right now?
Well, we've just had yet another ballistic missile fired towards Israeli civilian centers, which seems to be the modus operandi of Iran, not striking military targets, but aiming specifically for civilian centers. Now, I am in the center of the country, directly between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, and all of our cities taking quite a number of these missiles. And as we had yesterday morning, notification of incoming hostile aircraft, which means drone attacks as well. Now, for the most part, Israel is prepared. We knew that this was coming. We've prepared our civil society, our citizenship, as much as we possibly can. And our air defense array, which is a multi-leveled array, I know everybody is very familiar with the Iron Dome defense, but we have all our air defense systems working, our pilots, our Iron Beam, our arrows, our Barak, our Iron Domes, everything is working to keep Israeli civilians safe. Having said that, we have had a few impacts. At least 12 people have been killed since the start of what we are calling Operation Lion's Roar, and the Americans are calling Operation Epic Fury. But we understand the reasons for this military operation, and that is to dismantle Iran, which is the world's largest sponsor of terrorism, everywhere from the Middle East to South America to the African continent. We are doing this to rid the world of tyranny, the nuclear program, the ballistic missiles program, and the systematic slaughter of tens of thousands of their civilians.
Okay. Yesterday we heard the German Chancellor Merz talk about the need for a speedy end to this. Have you heard any talks about dialogue or a ceasefire that could come in the next couple of hours or days, as the case may be?
Well, I definitely wouldn't say in the next couple of hours. Our foreign minister just moments ago addressing CNN saying that, there is no timeline to this. From Israel's part, we don't want a long protracted war, which is why I think you have seen the coalition go in very swiftly, very strongly to decapitate the nukes and the ballistic missiles as swiftly and as quickly as we can. Having said that, Iran is also attacking Gulf states and other countries in the region. And even today, we had a ballistic missile fired towards Turkey. So Iran's intention trying to draw the greater region into a war. From our side, we're going to want to get the job done as swiftly and as economically as we can. We've also heard from our allies in the region, Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates, what they are enduring. Also civilian infrastructure targeted. The Qatari Foreign Ministry a short while ago putting out a very, very harsh statement against what was their very strong ally, Iran, saying that it is not a policy of good neighborliness to attack Qatar striking targets in Iran as well. So there is a concerted effort, not just by Israel and the USA, but by other countries as well, to neutralize Iran as quickly as possible. So hopefully we see an end to this as expediently as we can.
But let's look at the other side of this thing. We are seeing effects of this escalating conflict as we see it right now. $500 billion in oil trade from the Hormuz channels being affected, and the fear of children and women being victims, as the case may be. I mean, how do we ensure that these things are, as much as possible, reduced, this impact? How do you think they can be reduced?
Of course, we have the economic impacts that war always has. And I know that the United States CENTCOM, that Central Command, have said that they are striking the Iranian Navy, and that is because of the threat that they pose to shipping channels in order to get that oil out. So the United States doing everything they can to neutralize Iran's threats with the Strait of Hormuz and other shipping lanes so that we can get the economy going as quickly as possible. But it's very, very important that we speak about civilian targets. Civilians are primarily targeted by Iran, not just in their own country. We've seen those horrific scenes, tens of thousands of Iranians slaughtered by the Iranian regime for daring to stand up to them. And it certainly has been extremely moving to hear from Iranians thanking us for what they are calling a rescue mission, getting rid of the Ayatollah and the regime. Here in Israel, we've had women and children killed by the Iranian bombs. Just the other day in the city of Beit Shemesh, in one of the oldest synagogues was hit, and 9 people killed there. A man of 102 died as a result of injuries. He hit his head as a result of injuries running to the shelter here. We've had a significant amount of people hospitalized as a result of damage and done to property and as a result of shrapnel from these rockets. So from Israel's side, we've certainly seen civilians greatly impacted, and in the regional areas as well. Although,
Roland, but you do remember, if I may come in, Roland, you do remember the incident of about 150 children that were killed, and school children that were killed in Iran because of this drone strikes.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because the media rushed to quickly judge and blame the coalition forces for that. But the reality is, we don't know. Iranians on the ground have pointed to the IRGC because that school was attached to an IRGC compound. That's the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. Some of the eyewitnesses on the ground say that what they have seen, and we've certainly got the images to back it up, is that something was fired that went upwards and then back down. So the jury is still out on who was responsible, but many eyewitnesses on the ground saying, no, the attack didn't come from the sky. It came from a misfired rocket or drone from within the compound. And if that's the case, this is another example of Iran using their civilian population as human shields. We did have the IRGC command holding a press conference from within a school just yesterday. And we've certainly seen this playbook across the region. We've seen it with Hamas in Gaza using their civilians as human shields, and Hamas are a proxy of the Iranians. So they have been trained by the Iranians. So it would not surprise anyone if this was a despicable, exploitive ploy by Iran in order that their civilians are targeted.
Thank you so much, Rolene. Thank you for coming in this evening, and we do wish you well. Stay safe.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, guys.
All right. Well, staying in the Middle East, the U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth says an American submarine torpedo strike sank the Iranian warship off the south coast of Sri Lanka. Hegseth confirmed that the U.S. was behind the deadly strike on an Iranian frigate that was traveling close to the Sri Lankan coast. The attack was carried out by a U.S. Navy submarine late on Tuesday night. Hegseth said it was the first time since the Second World War that an enemy vessel had been targeted by the U.S. in the Indian Ocean. According to Sri Lanka's Foreign Affairs Minister Vijita Herath, the Sri Lankan Coast Guard received a distress call from an Iranian Navy ship, the Iris Dena, at 5:08 a.m. on Wednesday. The crew members had described the incident as an explosion.
Yesterday, in the Indian Ocean, and we'll play it on the screen there, an American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II. Like in that.
When we return, Umuahia residents protest high electricity charges. Just stay with us for details. This is the 6th edition, and here's a recap of our major stories. U.S. Embassy in Nigeria cancels visa appointments over protest fears. More than 80 killed as U.S. claims attack on Iranian warship in Indian Ocean. And 4 children killed in Djibouti deadly explosion. Rights group links blast to drone strike. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Olatunji Disu as the substantive 23rd Inspector General of Police at a ceremony held at the State House in Abuja. Mr. Disu took the oath of office at about 2:53 p.m. in the presence of the Vice President, ministers, security chiefs, and other top government officials, following a unanimous endorsement of his appointment by the Nigeria Police Council last week. President Tinubu also administered the oath of office on newly appointed commissioners of the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission and the Federal Civil Service Commission ahead of the first Federal Executive Council meeting of the year.
I'm bringing law and order to the table. Like I mentioned earlier, I have made up my mind to ensure that my officers get to know that we are working for the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the citizens of the country are our bosses. The committee was set up early this morning to look into the issue of state police from the angle of the Nigerian police. We don't want it to seem as if others are taking decision and we, the most important people concerned, did not do anything. We want to ensure that the best thing is done. State police has come to stay. and the police should be able to contribute their own part in making it succeed. The police are not afraid. Our jobs are not being taken. It's just an issue of...
Well, you've had the new Inspector General of Police talk about what the plan is and how the Nigeria Police Force is going to go ahead to ensure the establishment and the functioning of state police across the country. He has already set up that committee, which is chaired by Professor Olu Ogunshakin, with the Commissioner of Police Bode Ojajuni as the secretary. Other members include Okebuchi Ogora, Suleiman Guma, Okechukwu Okago, Tolulokpe Ikpimisho, and retired Commissioner of Police Emmanuel Ojukwu. He says their work will help shape the framework through which state policing will operate in the country, and urged members of the committee to be guided by professionalism in the discharge of their duties.
Chairman, Secretary. This committee on state police we are inaugurating today has a critical responsibility. Your work will help shape the framework through which state policing may operate in Nigeria in a manner that strengthens rather than fragments our national security system. In carrying out this assignment, your deliberations must be guided by professionalism, objectivity, and a clear appreciation of the unique complexity of policing in a diverse nation like our own. Among other responsibilities, the committee is expected to review existing police models within and outside Nigeria, assess community security needs, and emerging risks amongst the country.
Residents of the World Bank housing estate in Umuahia have once again rejected what they described as outrageous electricity bills issued by the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company. They took their protest to the government house, insisting the estimated billing system has imposed severe hardship on the households in the estate. News Central's Chinwe Ugele reports.
Residents of one of Umuahia's oldest estates say excessive billing has become unbearable. Presenting their grievances to the governor's security advisor, McDonald Oba, the community's spokesperson, Chukwemeka Nwankwo, called for the immediate provision of prepaid meters.
They said we are on ban A now, that we merited it. We don't want ban A. These are our 3 points. We should be metered. The areas that were accumulated during this excessive billing should be cleared. Finally, they should give us at least a sustainable and a good bill that we can afford, an affordable bill.
The government representative assured the protesters of swift intervention to address the issue.
I assure you that within the shortest possible time, you'll get a response from government.
Thank you.
It will be looked at dispassionately, and based on the merits of it, it will be attended to.
Residents also allege that since their migration to Band A, their monthly electricity bills have surged dramatically, sometimes rivaling house rents.
We've talked about it. We said, why are they giving us this kind of bill? For example, you see somebody who doesn't have much, living in a self-contained or two-bedroom apartment. He has to pay 60,000 naira, 70,000 naira as his rent, as his bill, electricity bill. When his rent is barely 25,000 naira in a month, 20,000 naira in a month. My own house rent is 400,000 naira in a year. Now take that and compare that with a bill of 59,000.
Let me just say, last year we were paying like 10,000 naira per month. All of a sudden they increase it to 60,000, 70,000. And some of these residents are poor widows, retirees. So that estate is for middle class people. So they can't, some of them, their salaries are not even up to 70,000. So we can't afford it.
I received 67. The bill is difficult for me to pay.
They insist that only the introduction of prepaid metering will curb what they describe as inflated and unsustainable charges. In Abia for News Central, Chinwe Ugele.
Staying with the electricity matter, while the national grid has collapsed 3 times recently, plunging millions into darkness, parts of Abia State didn't see a flicker because they've pulled away from the national grid. These communities enjoy uninterrupted power while the rest of the country struggles. This isn't just a lucky break, it's a clear win for decentralizing the electricity market and proves that local independent power works. So what's the holdup for other states? The 2023 Electricity Act finally gives the governors the power to do this, but many are still dragging their feet. Between the massive cost of infrastructure and the need for serious private investors, most states are stuck in the planning phase. Abia has shown it's possible. Well, I'm being joined by Idowu Oyebanjo, power analyst and managing director at Fund Power. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Oyebanjo.
Thanks for having me.
So that you heard the analysis. I mean, he joins us from Lagos. Oyebanjo, you heard the analysis that we gave. How while the national grid is collapsing back and forth, a state like Abia, parts of Abia state, never saw a blink. Indeed, some of the residents I've had conversations with will tell you that they actually beg for the light to go off so that their refrigerators could thaw. But why do you think this is a major problem for states to pick up on? It's a huge opportunity.
Yes, indeed, it's a big opportunity. This is what the Electricity Act envisions for Nigerians. And if any state is not enjoying what part of Abia State enjoyed recently, they have to take their focus to their state governments, because by signing the Electricity Act in 2023, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu already gave this opportunity for state governments to establish their own generation, transmission, and distribution system to supply electricity to people in their state. Now, why do we have the situation where some parts of Abia State enjoyed uninterrupted power supply during these last three events of grid collapses? It is because they have a professor-backed energy in investing over $800 million in their state. Over $800 million. So we need a lot of backed energy, Nigerians. Recently, you must have listened to Dangote. Dangote said he will be going into power generation. Yes, instead of buying private jets, all these affluent people who can afford it should invest in power generation. And the state government should have been knocking on the doors of people like Dangote, as well as BUA and others who have the finance to go into power systems. So the first thing is you have investments in the power system. But to answer your question in a technical form, what happened over there was the region, Abia Power Limited, served electricity. The region actually was on island, what we call an islanding. So to be on island means you isolate yourself from the national grid, especially during a time of grid collapse like that. You will not feel it because you are operating as an island. You are isolated from the national grid. So you imagine all the 36 states and FCT, they have areas in their domain where they are operating on islands. They will never know lack of electricity. They will have uninterrupted power supply as long as their systems are okay. They will enjoy what people in Abia State enjoyed during that period. And guess what? Many industries have started moving to Abia State because of this. That's what will happen for state governments who decided to love their people so much and create this electricity market.
Okay, but you see, now we had that report of the resident of Umahia complaining about estimated billing, and then the fact that the bill is so high, and yet they're not seeing enough power as they may want to see. But then we also know, we've heard Nigerians talk about the fact that in some parts of the country where we don't have the cost of paying for electricity is too high. If the state governments, you say that the governments that are not doing this, what Abia State has done, obviously don't love their people enough. Is there a question of lack of cash or a deeper political reason?
Well, it's a bit of both, but the main thing is that by not dictating or mandating that states of the federation shall, after 12 months, establish their state electricity regulatory commission in the Electricity Act 2023 as amended, that created this opportunity for some states not to have jumped into the bandwagon and to establish their state electricity. So that's number one. But of course, like you mentioned, power system investments are financially intensive. To invest in power generation, transmission, distribution system, and as I love to put it, in gas to power systems, you need significant investment. Now, most states don't have this kind of investment. So there's a lacuna in the area of policy or intervention. You have to decide how will these states get funding. So that's a very critical part of the reasons why people some states are lacking. Of course, I must mention that the best thing for News Central to do and other media outlets like yourselves is to go out there to the state governments that have accepted regulatory authority from Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, the federal regulator, and go and knock at their doors and say, what are you doing? Where is your State Electricity Regulatory Commission located? Who are the people working there? Do they have the facilities? That's what media organizations should be doing as part of our advocacy for ensuring Nigeria gets uninterrupted power supply in our lifetime.
Yeah,
but
well,
having said that,
Mr. Ebanjo, who's going to be funding
you have
that?
to realize that.
Who would fund that? Would you fund it?
Yeah, because this is a very critical aspect of economic development and human capacity development. It's something that can be done. But like I was saying, your question leads directly to another aspect why some states are foot dragging. Human capacity. There's a shortage of skills required to run an electricity market in Nigeria. Also, there is regulatory capture. There is uncertainty in the regulatory regime. If you recall, in the last few months, there was an intention, to change the position of the Electricity Act. Some people went to the National Assembly and they almost got away with amending that act in such a way that the over-concentration of power will go back to the federal level against the principle of decentralization. So such a confusion will lead a state governor to say, hang on a minute, I have to wait and see exactly where this stands. So if you are running a decentralized system, you must not allow regulatory uncertainty. You must be clear about the roles and responsibilities of federal agencies and state agencies, and you must not give them a kind of doubt. Like in the case of Enugu, they were told they cannot set the tariff within their state. That's an aberration in a decentralized market. So all those things will signal bad brood into the minds of some state governments.
Mr.
And
Ebanjo,
then
we really have to go. So let me just quickly answer. We have to
should,
go.
they
Mr.
should just
Ebanjo,
continue.
we really have to go, but you need to quickly answer this in like 30 seconds. While some people are concerned about a fragmented national grid, if you had an opportunity to advise a governor today on how to flip on that switch for state-led power, what would you say to the person in 30 seconds?
Partner with the right kind of investors. Make sure meritocracy is what you use in defining your electricity market, and make sure you partner with the right people. Unlike the privatization of 2013, where we had people who prioritized economic advantage over technical capacity as well as sustainability of the market, you must not repeat that in any state. You must make sure you allow merit to take place, as well as ensure that you partner with the right kind of investors who understand power business.
Thank you so much, Mr. Idowu Oyebanjo is a power analyst and the managing director of EatFund. Thank you for coming in this evening. The 6th edition will take a break, and when we return, we'll be looking at the 2026 Electoral Act. Do stay with us. Let's go into that conversation that a lot of people have been wondering when Nigeria's path to the 2027 polls has been officially paved with the signing of the Electoral Act 2026. President Bola Tinubu gave the assent to the bill last month, repealing the 2022 Act and introducing sweeping reforms. While proponents hail it as a digital revolution for our democracy, legal experts warn of potential constitutional landmines. Let's break down the shift. Now, What does the 2026 Electoral Act hold? These are the key strengths: compulsory beavers and electronic result transmission to boost transparency and ensure real-time reporting, fundamentally tightening electoral integrity through modern digital integration. Mandating fund releases 6 months before polls, streamlining plans and reducing bureaucratic delays, fostering tighter fiscal discipline for smoother election management. New criminal penalties for administrative obstruction, including imprisonment of officials. This will serve to deter procedural abuse and ensure strict adherence to the electoral law. Broadening accepted identification to include birth certificates and passports as travel passports promotes inclusivity, making it easier for qualified citizens to join the voter roll. Eliminating indirect primaries in favor of direct or consensus selection aims to curb the elite capture and strengthen grassroots participation within political parties. But what about the weaknesses? As strong as this document has come forward with all these strengths, see the weaknesses. Retaining manual options during network issues creates loopholes. Critics fear that these discretionary gaps would allow for manipulated delays and unexplained failures during result transmission. Limiting who can challenge results risk violating constitutional rights. Narrow grounds for filing may unfairly block citizens from seeking essential judicial review. Hefty fines on petitioners and counsel are viewed as punitive. Experts argue that these costs unconstitutionally deter citizens from challenging electoral irregularities in court. Now, mandating only direct or consensus primaries may infringe on party autonomy. This restriction potentially clashes with the constitutional right to freedom of association. Tightened primary and election schedules favor wealthy incumbents. Critics argue that these compressed windows undermine effective voter engagement and disadvantage less resourced political actors. But now let's look at the areas of possible conflict with the Nigerian Constitution. 1. The rights to political participation and association. Forcing specific primary methods may violate Section 40's protection of party autonomy. Such interference risks unconstitutional meddling in the internal affairs of political associations. Access to judicial review. The Constitution guarantees court access and due process. High filing fees and narrow petition grounds create illegal barriers that obstruct citizens' fundamental judicial rights. The freedom of expression or assembly. Provisions limiting petitions or public challenges may implicitly stifle free speech. Restrictive timelines and heavy penalties risk chilling the democratic right to contest results. Legislative power. The National Assembly's power to legislate is not absolute. Any law ousting court jurisdiction or infringing on basic rights oversteps its clear constitutional boundaries. Imposing millions in fines for filing petitions is seen as a punitive measure. This directly contradicts the right to seek redress for electoral grievances. Well, that's a look at the 2026 Electoral Act and some of, though it has its strengths and weaknesses, we've seen the areas where it could conflict with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But we'll deal with this and get back to it in the course of our broadcasting. But let's move on now and talk about the current situation in the country. This is the month of Ramadan. As the holy month enters into day 15, Muslims continue to observe a period of fasting, prayer, and reflection. However, beyond abstaining from food and drink from dawn to dusk, Ramadan often brings significant lifestyle changes. Despite the physical challenges of fasting, particularly in regions experiencing long daylight hours or intense weather conditions, many Muslims say the spiritual benefits outweigh the difficulties, saying they feel more focused, disciplined, and empathetic towards others. Our correspondent Aisha Salihu tells us more.
Ramadan is the month in which the Holy Quran was revealed to the Holy Prophet Muhammad, making it a deeply significant period in the Islamic faith.
I'm standing here at a mosque where hundreds have gathered for iftar, the breaking of the fast. Mosque leaders say beyond abstaining from food and drink, Ramadan is about self-discipline, compassion, and renewed devotion to God.
As Muslims, in this period is a time for us when you are reflecting, you look at people that couldn't eat, people that could not even lay their hands on what they need. And this is beyond being just Muslims. It goes all around. So as Muslims, you need to embrace people that are not of your religion. So we come together, we celebrate so that they can see the beauty of Islam through you.
This is the month that I feel that my prayer are answered, are always answered, because no matter how hard the fasting, I always feel my prayers are answered, and I will see it physically.
We have been enjoined to do good at all times, but to specifically be conscious this time around to do more good, because one good you do in this month has ×7 reward of ordinary month.
As the month progresses, some Muslims share their perspectives on how they are coping during this sacred month and the adjustments they are making to their daily routines.
This is a very beautiful month for we Muslims, and we have to make adjustments. If you have a very wide lifestyle, you have to adjust. But I don't feel good when I eat too much, so I reduce whatever I eat. Yeah, and I eat more fruits. I don't eat red meat anymore. Yeah, to maintain my health.
I have observed Ramadan for the past 30 years, complete. So it's not a new thing. So I'm always happy when Ramadan came. I'm always praying. Even now, look at the time I'm coming to the office because of the devotion and the practices I've been doing throughout the night.
You know, in Ramadan, definitely everybody's life change. You went to the mosque on time, you pray 2 months prayer, you pray in the night, you pray in the daytime, you do astighfar, you do azkar. Everybody knows it because you are in fasting. Even if somebody touches you, no, I'm in fasting.
The last 10 days of the month are especially significant as they include Laylatul Qadr, the night of power, believed to be the night the Quran was first revealed.
Muslim faithful describe a sense of renewed hope and spiritual purpose, setting the tone for the weeks ahead. Ramadan will conclude with the celebration of Eid al-Fitr. In Abuja, for News Central, Aishat Salihu.
Well, the cashless toll payment policy introduced by the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria at the toll gate of the Murtala Mohammed Airport and indeed almost all FAN facilities across the country is generating growing concerns among motorists and air travelers. What was intended to modernize and simplify payments has instead led to heavy gridlock with some passengers missing flights. Our correspondent Emmanuel Olubobokun reports.
Vehicles now stretch for several meters, approaching the Lagos Airport toll gate, particularly during peak travel hours. Under the new directive, all toll payments must be made electronically via debit cards or designated digital platforms. However, slow network connections, transaction failures, and inadequate payment terminals have significantly delayed movement. Responding to the situation, the managing director of FAN says the agency is aware of the temporary challenges and is working to resolve technical issues.
This policy actually it kicked off in the middle of last year, where we started making some advertisements and also marketing materials to share that we will be blocking all revenue leakages within the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria at all of our own collection points to start with. The enforcement itself only started on Sunday. Obviously, this is due to a push from the federal government. The purpose of this exercise is actually to make sure that the federal government, one, receives all of the revenue that it's due to it, but at the same time to make sure that our passengers are still processed effectively.
For many travelers, the delay has come at a high price, missed flights and rescheduled journeys.
And this new development is causing hardship. We already are suffering in Nigeria. Then this is another suffering on its own. I could not drive I have to take bike. So I could not drive. I can't be in traffic for so long. I'll get to work. I'll be stressing myself at work, then stressing myself back home, driving. So I have to take bike. You can see, I just came down from Okada.
With time ticking and flights scheduled to depart, many passengers now abandon their vehicles in traffic and resort to commercial motorcycles, popularly known as Okada, to navigate through the congestion and reach the terminal faster. But today's alternative has created another challenge: skyrocketing fares.
Today's traffic now, I walk on the opposite side of the road, and it takes me an average of 20 minutes extra today. Last week, it took me an average of 45 minutes to 1 hour. Again, The cashless policy is good. The implementation, I think, could have been so much better. I've been here more than 30 minutes, not moving. They have to find solution. This is very, very bad. If I have any emergency now, this is how I'm going to stay here.
Travelers are urging the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria to improve network systems, add more payment points, and consider temporary alternatives. For now, getting to the airport has become a race against traffic, with many passengers leaving home hours earlier to avoid missing their flight. In Lagos, for News Central, Emmanuel Olubobokun.
The latest update has it that the Federal Executive Council has called for a suspension of that cashless policy until a better implementation structure is put in place. But we'll see how that works out, especially for Nigerian road users and travelers headed to the airport. My personal advice would be just go to the fan office a day or two before you have to travel and get that card. It makes things a lot easier. In less than a second, you just swipe your card and you're moving. But hey, who am I? We'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll be seeing what's going on in Africa. Just stay with us. We're in the Horn of Africa, where 4 children have been killed in an explosion in southern Djibouti, with authorities investigating the cause amid claims that it was a drone strike. Public prosecutor Hassan Hassan confirmed the deaths in the Dikil region of Afar, describing it as a tragic incident. The Djiboutian League for Human Rights alleged the blast was a drone strike targeting nomadic populations, saying 2 children died instantly, while 2 later succumbed to injuries due to limited medical access. 6 others were wounded. The Afar community has long expressed grievances against President Ismail Omar Guelleh, who is seeking his 6th term in office. Authorities say a team has been deployed to determine the exact cause of the explosion. An armed attack on the headquarters of Upemba National Park in southeastern Democratic Republic of Congo has left 5 staff members dead. The park's headquarters in Lusinga in Katanga province was stormed on Tuesday by unidentified gunmen. Authorities say the assailants carried out a coordinated raid, killing 5 personnel. The Congolese Institute for the Conservation of Nature confirmed the attack in a statement, adding that several pieces of equipment were looted and infrastructure sustained significant damage. Security forces have since moved in and restored full control of the park and its administrative offices. Nature reserves in DR Congo are frequently caught up in conflicts linked to land disputes and competition over mineral resources. The National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, has announced steady progress in its ward-led enrollment drive, which began on February 16, 2026, to expand national identification number registration nationwide. The decentralized initiative enables citizens and legal residents to enroll at designated ward centers, reinforcing the NIN's role in accessing key government services. In a statement recently, the head of corporate communications, Kayode Adegoke, urged the public to verify enrollment locations via the agency's website, provide accurate data, and follow official communication channels. NIMC also highlighted its digital platforms for pre-enrollment, data modification, and identity authentication, reaffirming its commitment to inclusive national identity coverage. Nigeria's maritime industry recorded a historic expansion in 2025, with cargo throughput rising 24.8% to 129.3 million metric tons. That's according to the Nigerian Ports Authority. The managing director, Abubakar Dansoho, described the performance as one of the strongest annual gains on record. Container traffic climbed 25.7% to over 2.1 million TEUs, while transshipment volumes surged 205.8%, underscoring Nigeria's growing regional hub status. Lekki Port led with 40.6% of total cargo. Total ship calls rose nearly 12% to 4,477 vessels, reflecting stronger trade activity and export diversification momentum. South African business confidence rose 3 points in Q1 2026, reaching 47 points, the highest reading since 2015 outside the post-COVID recovery. That's according to a survey by Rand Bank compiled with the Bureau of Economic Research. The gain was supported by a stable government, favorable interest rates, and a strong rand, though analysts warned that the Middle East conflict could disrupt supply chains and push energy prices higher. Chief economist Issa Mlanga noted that translating improving sentiment into sustained economic growth will require stronger demand, credible policy, and progress on structural reforms. President Cyril Ramaphosa echoed these concerns. And that's it on the 6th edition for today. But before we go, we'll look at our major stories. U.S. Embassy in Nigeria cancels visa appointment over protest fears. More than 80 killed as U.S. claims attacks on Iranian warship in Indian Ocean. And 4 children killed in Djibouti deadly explosion. Rights group links blast to drone strike. That's all this hour. Remember, you can send your comments or eyewitness report to the number showing on your screen via WhatsApp. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. We also encourage you to watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, GoTV, channel 23, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Neota Ibe.